everyone, Sandman here. This video was brought to you by a donation from George. He didn't send me a specific topic. So what I thought I'd do is cover a video called Manosphere, Misogynistic Suicide by Women by the psychologist Sam Vaknin. He cites a scientific article about how women prefer weaker beta males. But when I go online, I can find just as many articles saying that women prefer strong, tall, attractive alpha males. So which is it? Do women prefer betas that they can push around, or alphas that push them around? I'm ashamed to admit it, but I watched Oprah when I came home from school every day when I was in high school. And I took the social conditioning on that show about what women wanted from men to heart. I would always date women that were my age or older. There were strong women that took on more masculine roles. They were assertive and I was passive. I focused on my personal appearance, as well as being metrosexual back in the 90s and early 2000s. I've always been more attracted to empowered, intelligent, assertive, educated, and driven females. But as far as I'm concerned now, they've gone too far. Sam is right that women in general are acting more abusive like male jerks, and this appears to be their attempt to be identical to men. They see jerks as the typical man. They're emulating the womanizing drunk man whore and acting like dictators without dicks. So of course they're looking for someone to push around because that's what an old school abusive husband would be looking for too. Although I'd always go for strong women, I refuse to take on the role of the abused wife, because a woman wants to act like an abusive husband. I didn't believe what Sam was saying, but I've had a couple of guys send me stories like this in the last 6 months or so. As for myself, all this makes me wonder why, growing up, and as an adult, I've been bored by feminine-minded females. They were always too passive and appeared to have low self-esteem, and there might be some truth to that. The confusing question is, why do some women like weak men? In fact, some women are turned off by dominant men and only prefer submissive ones who are much weaker than the average man. So how come do so many women prefer submissive men? In order to understand this puzzling question, you need to know a few facts about Adlerian psychology. According to Alfred Adler, all human beings strive for superiority in order to overcome their perceived weaknesses. As a result, people get divided into two major categories: those who strive for superiority by doing something useful, and those who try to achieve the same goal by doing something totally useless. A person that excels in work and becomes a CEO of a company he works at is a perfect example of someone who strives for superiority by doing something useful. On the other hand, the person who develops obsessive-compulsive disorder, washing hand behavior, is an example of someone who strives for superiority on the useless side of life. The brave ones strive for superiority by doing useful things, while the less brave ones distract themselves by getting indulged in useless behavior. Women who are not brave enough try and achieve a goal of superiority by finding a weaker man that they can control. After all, it's much easier for them to find someone who is weak than to try to become strong. Of course, this is not the only reason some women prefer weaker men, but it's a major cause. In addition to that, if the woman was raised in a family where the man was submissive, she might grow up trying to replicate the experience through finding a weaker man. But again, this doesn't happen unless the woman is not brave enough. So what's the solution to this problem? Improving self-confidence. But I don't know how much I believe that a lack of self-confidence means that women are looking to dominate a man. I didn't have so much self-confidence early in life, and I wasn't interested in dominating women. In fact, it was the opposite. I was looking for a stronger woman. I would wait for women to be the ones to make the first moves on me as well. They would grab me and kiss me first. They would ask me out first. The women that didn't initiate, I just friend-zoned, even though they were far more feminine, passive, and attractive. Apparently, the confident women were less attractive. That's why I think that MGTOW will only grow as more women masculinize their minds and behavior, even if they keep on a feminine wrapper. More women than ever want men that are weaker and disempowered, but there's a breaking point. They're creating weak men and now they're becoming abusive to them, and weak men can't handle said abuse. So they check out of the dating and relationship market entirely. Eventually, the weak men will become strong for themselves because they won't have a strong woman to be weak for anymore. But Vaknin is right when he says that women are taking on the traits of antisocial men. They're increasingly acting like narcissists looking for hookups and not relationships. A whole new generation of women are like the so-called old misogynistic generations of men. But even Sam Vaknin says that he doesn't know any men like that only a tiny sliver of men behave that way. I also found something interesting, which was that I was using the mating strategy of appearing weaker to attract strong women. But after a few months when I started standing up for myself against strong women, they were kind of shocked. They thought that I was easy to control. There was shock and horror on their face when I would reveal that I was intelligent, had an online audience, and was making more money than they thought that I was. This was something they never expected. That a man was going to hide his accomplishments, intelligence, and misrepresent himself to get into their man pants. I have to give Sam credit for seeing this because after I became strong and self-confident, I was a strong man taking on the reverse role of female chameleons. Female chameleons emulate the man to attract him. What I had no idea that I was doing was emulating weak men to attract strong women. When I acted like a self-confident guy, I wouldn't get a second date. When I acted like a simpleton, the second date was easy. But again, it depends on what type of woman you're after. Vaknin says that men are going their own way because there are no real women left. And he's right about that. He's also right when he says that men are becoming frigid while women are becoming increasingly promiscuous. In my mid-20s, I didn't want sex all the time while the women I was with wanted it way more than I did. In past generations, that was unheard of, but it seems to be common now. But there was a line that was crossed where women took their newfound tyranny too far. I wanted to respect such women and not fear them. There's also the issue of birth control pills. Sam mentions that the birth control pill emancipated women, but he doesn't discuss how such medications are changing women's preference from alpha to beta males. According to the CDC, women aged 20 to 29 in America are most likely to use the birth control pill. The more highly educated the woman is, the more likely she's going to be on the birth control pill. By his own admission, Sam says that more women are going to college than men, and more than ever, meaning that they're more likely to use the pill, which will make them attracted to men that are softer and sweeter than the alpha brutes. So if you're a man that wants a strong, successful woman, then find a highly educated one with a good-paying job and hide your success from her. And downplay yourself, and if she's on the pill, then she might actually find you attractive. Of course, if she ever gets off the pill, she'll probably find you disgusting. If you want to know if she's genuinely attracted to you, find out if she's on the birth control pill or not. Also, women that prefer weaker men see women in authority positions and emulate them. By Sam's own admission, 40% of children are raised in single-mother households. Do you really think that seeing their mothers dominate their brothers isn't impressed on their psyche when they're younger? And then they're more likely to repeat the same behavior when they go out into the world. They're being taught that a strong, successful mother puts her thumb down on the young males in the household. So when she gets into a relationship, those same types of behaviors transfer to her. That doesn't mean that incels have hope, because while some women may prefer weak and easy-to-control men, that doesn't necessarily mean unattractive males. If you're a pretty boy and easy to push around, then many women will absolutely love that. They can be with someone they're attracted to, but also someone that does what he's told and is willing to take untold emotional abuse while smiling and looking pretty. They probably believe that this is what every man wants in a woman. A hot woman that does as she's told. So if they emulate men, what they want is a hot guy that does exactly as he's told. Anyways, that's it for today.